I'm fairly convinced that a monkey could be trained to do this. I mean, I'm pretty much proof of that. Now, if you hear any annoying sounds like this, that's me drinking coffee. If you're annoyed by that, you might want to turn the sound down.
Special thank you to my $10 and up Patreon supporters. And Dr. John Vanderlaan, thank you and thanks, buddy. Steve Bradshaw, thank you and thanks, buddy. And Robert DeCarli, thank you and thanks, buddy. Guys, long video, very much geared towards nerds. Here are some points of interest. Sleep staging starts right now. Sleep respiratory at 22 minutes, 20 seconds. Mixed apnea at 33:20. Trolling at 49. And final report at 50:30. Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm going to try something just a little different. I'm going to actually do a video that's helpful. I've got some work to do. So I need to score a study from my business, AXG Sleep Diagnostics. I finally have permission to go ahead and post another one, so I'm going to do just that. This is a type 2 home sleep test. Let's just go over some of what you're looking at here. This up here is an all-night hypnogram, and it'll just tell you what stage of sleep the person is in. We have body position. Data markup, you don't need to know that. I'm actually going to delete that here in a minute after I find something. We have the left eye, the right eye. This is the chin, EMG, the green one here. We have we have F3, which is just kind of on the hairline on the forehead, above the eye. And we have another one, F4, right side of the head, right above the eye, right on the hairline between the forehead and the hair. These are reference points behind the ears. Snoring. This one is pressure transducer, so it's airflow through the nose, as well as mouth. Then we have the thoracic belt. This is a belt that we put up right around your boobs. That just picks up whether or not you're trying to breathe. And then the abdominal belt here is around your gut. Again, so we can see if you're even trying to breathe or not. Some effort is basically exact. It's both of these. If it goes flat, you know that they're paradoxical and having a very likely obstructive apnea. Then we have the EKG, which is heart rhythm, and SpO2, which is kind of a minty green color, kind of hard to see, trending at 92 there. So we're at the start. So let's go ahead and get started here. Get a lot of requests for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It's going to be boring as hell, I'm sure, but if you're kind of in the weeds, technical and geeky, you might like it. So right now I'm looking for like a little melted candle thing, because that's when the person, there he is. This is when they denote that they push the button and now they're actively trying to sleep. So I need to go ahead and change this to a smaller window, and then tag lights off. So here we are, lights off. You can see right there. So this is going to be accurate lights off that we're marking. All right, now you can see, obviously they're awake. They just hit the button. I'm going to kill this one because we don't really want to see it for now. And right now we're looking at alpha. This is alpha waves. It's 12 to 14 cycles per second. So it's kind of like eyes closed. In this segment right here, eyes closed, but not asleep. Over here, obviously you can see that they're blinking, looking around, blinking. These are all blinks. So they're awake, but we're going to go ahead and hit zeros, stage it as wake. Another 0 wake, 0 wake, 0 wake. If you're not familiar with this stuff, this is all eye movement, eye blinking. Like they're relaxed here. You can see how this goes from really fast and speeding. They're kind of tense to relaxed, but they're still awake. Same stuff, lots of blinking. Starting to get a little more calm here. Okay, now they're relaxed, and this is still alpha. Again, we're like in the 12 to 14 cycles per second, but you can tell that they're definitely slowing down and getting a little more relaxed, but again, still wake. Again, wake, 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 wake. Another, little movement, still awake, awake, more blinking and eye movements. Awake, awake, awake. And usually I fly through this stuff, so I'm going to do just that. Awake. Now right here, I was going to say I'm flying through it. This little section right in here, you can tell that part is sleep in that area. But according to the scoring rules, you can't call it sleep because it's not the majority of the page. So since we have from here all the way over to here, and it's more than 15 seconds, it's going to be wake, even though part of it was sleep. Now this one is entirely sleep. Sleep starts off over here. In fact, the back end of the last page was sleep. So we have low voltage, mixed frequency. It's slower than 12 to 14 cycles per second. And you even see at the end of the page, it looks like this is a K complex, which is something that's notable for stage 2 sleep. But again, it comes at the end of this page. This epoch is what they're called. And so we're going to call this 1 and then keep this guy in mind for the next page. So 1. And you can see here it looks like the patient actually already has an event. However, I'm not seeing any arousal in this area. So we're just going to call this stage 2 and continue on. So now we're just looking at this top part here right now, just the EEG. Anything on the face is what we're looking at. We're ignoring the stuff down here for now, though we're kind of taking it into account to try to see if we can pick up any arousals. I'm not seeing any, so we're going to keep this person in 2 and continue on. All right, so right there, I'm going to go back a page, or half a page. You can see that they're sleeping, builds up, snoring is increasing, and then they have a big sudden arousal there. There's an event, so we're going to put them back in. Actually, I think I need to call this whole thing wake because sleep doesn't occur until about here. So we're about 20 seconds into it. It's about 21 seconds into it. So that's going to be all wake. And this is stage 1, and you can see an arousal right here at the end of it again. So wake, but this is all sleep, and it's again more of the page. So it gets denoted as stage 1. And the whole thing is wake again. All wake because sleep starts right here. And this would be stage 1. We have a little period of wake right in the middle here, kind of borderline, but the majority of this is stage 1. All of this is sleep till we get to here is stage 2. It's a nice big K complex, but it's at the end of the page. So 15 seconds is right here. The majority is stage 1, and so we call it stage 1. And we have to consider that there is a K complex back yonder in the page before, and so this is all going to be called stage 2. Even though if you were just to see this by itself, you'd probably say stage 1. But you'd be wrong, because you have to look at it in the proper context. All right, back to wake, wake. 1, and then going into 2, wake, 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 wake. Let's break out the ruler. So we have sleep here. That is 9 seconds. And right here, that's another 7 seconds. That puts us at 16 seconds awake and 14 seconds of sleep. Wake wins. Wake. And that is more sleep. 1, 1. And I'm calling this a K complex, so we're going to go into 2. I'm going to pause this once we get some REM, because I think you kind of get the gist now. I'm fairly convinced that a monkey could be trained to do this. I mean, I'm pretty much proof of that. This is all wake. And 1, 2, 2. Continuing with 2, you can see the snoring is picking up. Look how steady this is. I color it pink because it looks like a big fat uvula. 2, 2, and it's starting to get a lot slower. And I would know what's interesting about this is whenever you start getting into stage 3 sleep, for whatever reason, obstructive sleep apnea, if it's severe, starts to go away. Just a funny little thing you notice. I mismarked that, I did too. Okay, now we're into some stage 3 sleep. You can see all these, they are slow enough to be considered delta sleep. It's between 1/2 and 2 cycles per second, and then you have to have at least 6 seconds of those taking up the screen, and we have plenty of them over here. And it's just one cycle, one up Z and one down Z, and it needs to be 0.75 microvolts as well. And we're just back into 2. Look for a second like this person was trying to go into REM sleep. This is all stage 2. And an arousal right there. You see it's all slow, and then wham, snoring stops, big arousal. Stuff is kind of hypnotic. Once we get into respiratory, it'll start getting a little spicy. It's kind of funny, like with these AXG home sleep studies that I do, the type 2s that have the EEG like this, every single person thinks that they messed it up and something was going horribly wrong the entire night, and they come back looking pristine. Like, this is a really nice recording. If you saw this in a lab, you'd be quite pleased with it. So you can see this person is having some pretty beefy apneas, and we're just on the 30-second epic screen. That was redundant. An epic is 30 seconds, so I was trying to like speak double talk. It's like Spanglish. You kind of mix the two. One epic is 30 seconds. So this person's having tons of back-to-back events, so it's kind of keeping him in stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, you can tell it's pretty disruptive to sleep. Thank God sleep apnea doesn't exist, right? And it's a fraud. That's why it kills me when people say sleep apnea is a fraud, and then you see this stuff daily. Obviously, it's not fake. Now, it would be really cool if I could show you this person being put on CPAP, and then you can see how that actually changes the sleep architecture and how it consolidates sleep really well. Maybe in the future I can add that to my home sleep testing. Have people self-apply CPAP, that'd be nice. I am starting to smell REM coming on. The EEG always kind of gets this look about it. Starts getting really flat. Looks like he's trying to, but keeps having apneas. And I think that's it at the end of this page. This little section here looks very REM-y. I think this whole page is, but Yep, there it is. Definitely REM. So I'm going to go ahead and go back a little bit because you have that luxury with this. We're going to go ahead and call this one REM, a Z-REM onset, because, hey man, that's the way we do it. So this is all REM. Very clear REM eye movement. You can see the chin is dropped. All of this is very attenuated. Now this is why machines that are trying to determine sleep and wake are not very good at it. You can see how much this EEG, if you recall, if you were to go back in the video and see all the stage 1, it's the same mixed voltage, low frequency. Some of it is bordering, you'll have some theta waves, which is in the 7 cycles per second, up to 11. And I'm sorry, I totally misspoke. 7 cycles per second down, but it's close enough, and so it's really hard with patient-to-patient differences to try to parse out what's REM and what's wake, and what's stage 1. So you get a lot of problems with that. So the human eye really is kind of tough to beat with patient-to-patient variations. So this is all REM. Now you can see that the desaturations are just incredible once this person's in REM. I'm going down to the low 80s, if not upper 70s. Okay, and now we're at wake. Wake, wake. All right, I'm actually going to go ahead and pause the recording right here, and then basically you're not going to miss a beat. I'm just going to go ahead and score the rest of this so it's not painfully long, and then we'll go ahead and do some respiratory, probably up to this exact same point. Okay, I lied. This is a little spicier than I thought. This is like when you hear people that say they have an AHI, apnea hypopnea index, of in excess of 100. This is what it looks like. It's just so disruptive to sleep. You'll see back-to-back obstructive apneas with these massive desaturations. You can see the heart working like crazy. You can see arousals like this occurring right now. How people like this function during the day, I do not know. But it's impressive. This patient's probably waking up with a massive headache like you've never seen before. Look, every time this person falls asleep, they stop breathing. Once we pull this up, we'll have a 2-minute view of it, and you'll be able to see the relationship a little better, how the blood oxygen level is delayed by about 10 seconds from the actual event. You'll also be able to see the what they call pulse transit time, and that is just like the QRS complexes. So right here is a QRS complex. You'll see these shorten because the heart rate is becoming faster, and that just means the heart's beating faster. It's working harder even though you're asleep. It has to pump blood that much faster to get any oxygenated blood to your organs, even though you're asleep, but it's because you're not breathing. There's a lack of oxygen, so what stuff there is in there, it needs to work double time. I just referred to oxygenated blood as stuff. I don't think I can work and talk at the same time. And I have a subdued voice because my wife has a PTO meeting out there, and I don't really want them to hear me blabbering. So I mean, look at all these arousals, man. So typically it takes people, it depends on the length of the study, but as far as how long it should take someone, when you're first starting out, it can take a couple hours. If we're assuming that it's a standard length one, which would be about 960 epochs, an 8-hour study, you're looking at about 2 hours, maybe even 2.5 when you're just learning, and maybe it's a little more difficult of a record. Once you start to get a little faster, you can do 45 minutes to an hour for that. Again, if there's not a lot going on, it goes a lot faster because you're not really marking anything. But just in terms of identifying events, seeing patterns, depending on your report generation at your lab or whatever, it could take a little bit longer. Or if you're a patient, you don't have to worry about it because someone else is doing it. And look at this, we have REM onset. So right there, stage 2, and REM. This one, it's really tough to see the transition. I'm going to turn up the chin and just see if we can see anything. Yeah, I mean, usually you'll see kind of a larger chin, and then it'll drop off. This one is kind of a little bit thick, a little too thick for me. Anyway, we have REM. Oh, look at this. You can tell he's dreaming about puppies. How cute. I'm kidding. You can't tell what people are dreaming about. All this is REM. Look at those nice REM eye movements. Very distinct. You don't be saying, hey, how come I saw, earlier on when the eyes were moving, you said he was awake. How come this is different? If you go back and look at those parts, you can see that they're going in the same direction. The EEG is also awake. Chin was elevated. But mostly you can just tell almost just by the eyes. Very, very distinct pattern to them. I'm thinking REM ends there, and I kept calling it REM, so whoops. I'm getting near the end of the study. Then we're going to have to go pass one more time through it with respirations in mind, scoring that. Right now we're just staging it. I'm kind of getting a feel for what this stuff looks like. So for the second pass, I can keep that in mind. This one really doesn't have anything special I need to keep in mind. It's actually pretty straightforward. So I can go ahead and purge that part of my brain, I guess. This end of the night, often you get this junk sleep like in and out for really no particular reason. Yeah, it looks like they're awake, so let me go ahead and bring up this to add lights on. Hopefully they hit the button again. So I've been doing a lot of studies on pilots lately. I get it's a requirement that they have a type 2 or an in-lab. It's required that they have a type 2 or an in-lab. They just have to have EEG. So, hey man, if you're a pilot, there's a lot of pilots doing this lately. Alright, there's our mark. I'm actually going to have to put it on the next page up because the way this stuff works. Lights on. We're going to go ahead and boogie back to first page. We're going to make this, oops, not that big. 4 epics. I'm going to go up here. Where sleep onset occurs. And now we're looking at a 2-minute window. And you can see stuff looks a little scrunched together. If we need to, we can toggle through and make it zoom in on things, but I don't really think we're going to need to here. Okay, so you can see here this event occurs, which results in this desaturation right here. The delay is typically about 10 seconds, 10 to 15 in that area, which is about where that comes in. You can see this hypopnea because it's not a complete cessation of breathing like this one is a complete cessation of breathing. So this is an obstructive apnea. This one's a hypopnea, but the effect is really the same. That's why they both count towards the apnea-hypopnea index. So we're going to call this a hypopnea. I'm going to try to call that a hypopnea. This one's going to be an obstructive apnea. And we're off. So you can see that there is an arousal associated. It's real slow here and then speeds up here. Slower in here, speeds up here. This is a pattern you're going to get used to. Now right here you can see there's a desaturation that was missed because the computer's really, really dumb. So we have to help it out. Now over here, this is from 89% down to 86%, which is, if you're really good at math, that's only 3% desaturation. There is air getting through, there is an arousal, so just by that definition, we have to call this a RERA. Even though, you tell me what's the difference between this one and that one. Oh yeah, this one has 4% desaturation, this one has 3% desaturation. Although that's weird, look at that, I've never seen that. Oh, it's counting it from over here. I see. Anyway, that's the only difference, and they both have arousals. They both pretty much look the same, yet are counted different. Now, I am 100% sure someone's going to pop in here who is a sleep tech and scores, and they're going to tell me I'm doing everything all wrong. They're going to tell me signals are upside down. I'm screwing up in every way possible. And to the person who does that, I would like to say, start your own channel and record your own videos, and you show me how to do it right. And please note that here. Send me a link to your video. Comment all you want, but make sure it has that link to your video in there. Can we agree to that? Probably not. I'm going to put this little snippet right at the beginning of the video, because it happens every single time. And I'll be completely honest, I am sure I do make mistakes on this. My interscore reliability scores through the American Academy of Sleep Medicine they're very, very high. They're always in the upper 90s. But look, everyone does it differently. I am by no means infallible. I make errors. I screw up. Nothing that's going to completely alter the results of this study, but we make minute mistakes. Can't even get the experts to agree on it. There's a lot of gray area in this. So, like I said, I'm sure there's stuff I'm doing wrong, but don't just type it. Record it. You too can be a YouTube hero. You can even have a theme song. You're a YouTube hero. Hero. What is that? That's a Rhinestone Cowboy. That's what it was. Never heard that song before, other than just little radio snippets. What is that, from like the 70s? So anytime you see wake, you just go woohoo, because you don't have to score it. You just fly right through it. So in the morning when the night techs tell me, hey man, this guy was awake all night long, you probably don't want to score it, I'm like, no, I probably want to score that first. It's like padding your stats. It's like in basketball when you just keep missing the easy layup, but you keep getting your own rebound. Pad your stats a little bit. That's what that is. You're like, hey man, I scored 10 records in a day because I took all the people that were awake all night. You just sit there and hold down on the 0 button for wake while you're sipping your cup of coffee. That's delicious. Keurig Donut House, if you like it. Delicious. I believe it's a light to medium roast. All right, now right here we have an arousal. Not all arousals are caused by breathing problems. The person snoring, nice big fatty snores, look at those. But the airflow is uniform. The thoracic and abdominal belts are uniform. I can't call it anything. And then there's no desaturation, like 1%, but I mean, they're kind of fluctuating there anyway. So just because they wake up does not mean it's sleep disordered breathing related. So we have an arousal, but that's it. That's one problem new scorers seem to have, is they want to call every arousal something. But, people wake up. It's okay to wake up. Doesn't mean you have a problem. Like, you didn't get your 24 hours straight today? What's wrong with you? Got to diagnose you with something. No, it's okay to wake up. But it's got to be from something. So right here, we do see some snoring, snore. So that tells me that there's an obstruction, and then it stops right where it appears there's an arousal. I'm pretty confident I can see a very, very minute increase in respiratory, abdominal, and in other respiratory channels, basically. So I am going to call that a RERA. I'm also going to call this one, because we have the exact same pattern, and I'm going to do the same with that one, because again, same pattern. Same thing here, but even a little more clear. So you have desaturation of 1%, but you can really see the building in all these channels right here. Ooh, this is going to be a good one, I can tell. Now, doesn't that look like an obstructive apnea? Totally flat. You see breast down here. Ooh, but wait, you got to measure 8 seconds. Even if we're generous, we can get to there, but it starts, if we're doing it legitimately, it's 8.5 seconds. We cannot call that one an obstructive apnea. We can, however, see, even the computer picked up on it and said, no way, man, too short. But we do see it decreases here, so we can call this a RERA because there is an arousal right there. So we can definitely call it a RERA in good conscience. I think I said conscious. I don't think that didn't sound right. And again, it's okay to wake even though there's nothing going on. Now this one's different. This one you can see an event here and an event here. If you look real close, you can see how big this is here prior to its smaller, getting bigger, big at the arousal, smaller, getting big at the arousal, and you have this snoring to back up that there is an obstruction there. That is RERA City, my friend. I did a video a long time ago about how Medicare is trying to kill you, and the gist of it is that they don't count RERAs. But you can see how disruptive RERAs can be to your sleep. Now you're probably not going to wake up with a headache like you would normally see with someone with back-to-back OSA, but it's extremely disruptive to your sleep. You wake up all the same. You just don't get like the credit for it, if you want to look at it in those terms. So you'll see these people with an apnea hypopnea index of 1 or 2, but they'll have an RDI, respiratory disturbance index, which includes everything, including RERAs, and you'll see that thing just topping out at 80s, 100s, whatever, real high. So you're probably, maybe at this time, wondering what's going to happen to this person. Good Lord, man. They are most likely going to be given the option to come back into a sleep lab and have a titration done on them, or the option to get a CPAP machine for home use, like an APAP, with clinical follow-up over, over your life, basically. But for the first month, real close. Try to narrow in the APAP pressure. This is one of those that they'll start off on a very wide range of 5 to 20. Maybe snug it up a bit and let them go for 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and then narrow it in more on their optimal pressure. So right now this person moved into the supine position, and you can see it just back-to-back obstructive apneas. So sometimes people that are mild, you can actually have them sleep on their side and they'll be a little less severe. This person is pretty severe no matter what position they're on, but it's definitely worse while they're on their back. In case you're wondering, this is Alice. Alice's system is called G3. It's her scoring platform. This was recorded on an Alice PDX. Actually a pretty bulky unit. I haven't heard too many complaints about it. Actually, only my friend who tried this before said it felt like he had a Kleenex box on his chest. Ooh, look, mixed apnea. Okay, mixed apneas are... A lot of people get these confused with central sleep apnea or complex sleep apnea. Even doctors I've seen use it interchangeably. They say have mixed sleep apnea, which what they're trying to say is that they have obstructive apneas and central sleep apneas. But a mixed apnea truly is mixed, and this segment of it, there's no breathing, but there's no effort to even breathe right in this segment. But then in this segment, there is an effort to breathe. So it starts off as central, but turns into obstructive. So in that, it's a mixed sleep apnea. Now this one probably happens because it's right after another arousal. So you have this central component where the person's not even trying to breathe, but the airway, if he was trying, is still blocked off. Now he has this signal, hey buddy, you need to breathe, but it's blocked off. So that's usually what mixed apneas are all about. And if you see a lot of mixed apneas in someone, like back to back, this guy, he has that one, so it doesn't mean anything. But if you see a lot of mixed apneas strung together, really high likelihood that this person is going to be complex sleep apnea. This person is not, but a person that does have that, you would expect to see complex sleep apnea in the diagnosis. Once they get put on CPAP, that's when that'll really rear its ugly head. They just won't be responsive to CPAP. They'll have what people call CPAP-induced. CPAP-induced centrals, but it's really not that it's induced by them. It just allows it to be seen. Whoops, I marked that wrong. Mixed. So now you're probably like, oh my god, they had 2. Still not a lot. Okay, and we have 3. Let's not get crazy though. Now we're back to obstructive. 3 is not a lot, people. I get a lot of people that ask me about, I have a service where I'll look at people's sleep aid data, and they'll have like a few central apneas, and they feel like they have central sleep apnea, but it's not. Oh my god, we have another mix. It's not. Just because you have a few, you know, there's actually a diagnosis criteria that you have to have a very specific number in a certain time period, and having like 2 isn't even close to that. This program's starting to piss me off. It keeps like bouncing back. I think there's a button I hit like long ago. It used to just stay put, and now it always wants to do that bounce back thing. Ugh, bounce back. God, I hate it. Okay, so this is a massive arousal, central apnea, but there's no arousal here. So this is what you would usually consider a post-arousal central. I'm not going to mark that. We're ignoring that. We're going to move on and mark that one. They get special treatment. If that were an obstructive apnea, I would mark it, but a central apnea, I'm not going to mark. The way that manifested, if there was an arousal, I would mark it, but there wasn't. And so for that reason alone, it gets nothing. And if you're like, dude, you're not doing it right, that's straight up from my medical director and our other doctor that comes in constantly. One's a neurologist, one's a pulmonologist. So there. I trust them because they're all smart and stuff. So another post-arousal. So big arousal, central apnea, but there's no arousal here. Had there been an arousal here, I would count it, but there's not. So it gets nothing. It gets nothing and likes it. Now, if you're like a RPSGT and you want to do like home scoring, you can expect to do this for like 10 hours a day, and it can get to the point where it's massively mind-numbing. Not at first, but once you start to get into it and you're a little more comfortable with what you're doing. You can also get ready for your forearms to burn from marking events. Like if you have several severe patients like this in a day, just from moving the mouse around. I highly recommend getting one of those thumb roller balls. I'm doing this from home, so I don't have that luxury right now, but if you do a lot of scoring, I would highly recommend getting a roller ball. Now, I am massively ambidextrous, so switching to my left and right hand really doesn't matter. And I'll do that if I'm doing a lot of scoring, just to keep my form a little fresh. Otherwise, it feels like you have shards of glass in there. Look at these desaturations. Down to 80. This one goes down to 71%. Woof. Again, here we go. Just an arousal, people. Nothing to see here. Just snoring, wakes up. Right here you can see there is decrease and an increase. And you're like, hey, wait, man, before you called that a RERA. Well, I don't see any arousal here. so it gets nothing. Respiratory effort related arousal. The last word gives it away. Got to have an arousal there. Now, there's some people that say, oh, but UCK complexes, it's a sign of an arousal. Well, no, K complex is a sign of stage 2 sleep. So no. If it's like a K, then you see speeding, but we don't see that. See, this is glorious. We can just speed ahead. I'm going like page by page now. Every time I hit down, 2 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. So we had some delta in here. Some of this was delta, it creeped in. Probably that one looks delta E too. You can see how slow it is. I feel like a horse getting close to the barn now. Like I can see the end coming and I'm like massively excited. Alright, this one we are going to call a RERA. That I'm calling OSA. Arousal there, separate from it. And this belongs to this. And this one belongs to the next. If I sound less excitable than I normally do, it's because this is work, Jason. This is taking care of business, Jason. Sometimes I feel like goofing around and you turn it on for the camera, but look, most of the time I'm just sitting there with like a bowl of Cheerios, okay? I'm not doing much. You can't be that excitable all the time or you need to be medicated. I am far from needing medication. In fact, I drink coffee just so I can interact with people. Okay, we have a little slew of mixed apneas here. Oh, that one's not mixed. What the hell was I looking at? You know what? Yeah, it is mixed. What the hell was I looking at the second time? Seems like I was about to transition into a sweet story, and it lost me now. It's escaped me. What's this, people? Nothing. Then something. Next. Obstructive. Down to 91%. Ooh-ee. That is rough. Okay, so this one, oh no, that's mixed also. Ooh, 70%. Yowza. So if you or a loved one are in the market for a fine home sleep study, a type 2 to be specific, remember AXG Sleep Diagnostics for all your sleep study needs. Sleeping in the comfort of your own bed, you get this kind of skillful scoring, attention to detail, fast, fun, friendly service. Man. I mean, at this point, continuing to score this is just, I mean, this AHI is going to be so stinking high. I'm going to run I'll run the report. I can't show it to you because it's going to generate names and stuff, but just so you can see what this kind of AHI looks like when you have this many events being scored. A lot of people, like it's a wiener measuring contest, will say, you know, oh yeah, well my AHI was 114. Oh yeah, well, my HI was 158. You kind of get this back and forth. Look, it's all bad, people. It's all bad. And this one is bad. I would guess. What I guess for it. By the way, see, wake, initial, central, but then there is an awakening, so I count it. Same with this one. If there's an arousal after, you count. If not, you don't. Is that an AASM scoring rule? No, it's not. It's my employer scoring rule, and so that's how I do it. And when someone writes me a check to do something a certain way, so long as it's ethical and there's reasoning behind it, I do it. The good news is my medical director, I can trash him at a racquetball, which is the important thing. He knows I dominated him in racquetball. So there are quite a few mixed apneas in here. So I'm almost wondering if this isn't one of those people that ends up having some form of oops, did that wrong? Some form of complex sleep apnea. We'll have to wait until the doc takes a look and decides. Although I'm guessing it will happen after they put on APAP or CPAP and just see what happens. Since it really is dependent on how this person reacts to CPAP. So let's go ahead and continue this commercial for AXG Sleep Diagnostics. If your loved one is looking for personalized care for currently $459, you can see how long it takes to score this. It includes the test, the shipment, the personalized experience as if you are a loved one in my family. You get all this wonderful scoring. You also get the physician interpretation all at one low price. And if you don't believe me, man, you see what they charge your insurance. It is bonkers. By the way, I don't take insurance because taking insurance is bonkers. I tried that 3 times and it took me like a month to get paid, and they kept offering me like half what I was charging, which was like, huh? Are you serious? They're like, if you take it now, we'll give you like nothing, but if you wait, we'll give it all to you because, And I'm like, but if I turned around and I asked and I said that the charge was $2,000, would you have done the same thing? Would you have offered half? And the dude said yes. It's standard. So if you want to get paid faster, you just take half, like it's a lottery and it's a lump sum. Like, what kind of sense does that make? So I have to lie and say that this test is worth more so that I can charge more? And the answer was yes. It's pretty much a game. Oh, okay. Done dealing with insurance. This way, if you have insurance, you get to deal with them. Now, if you're a watcher of my videos, this is like becoming true confessions. When people comment stuff that's like clearly mean and nasty, I have a tendency to troll back. Like, I don't mind it. I think it's really funny, and stuff doesn't get to me. But I like to try to, get under people's skin without really responding to the idiotic question. that was raised. Unless if it's a legitimate question, even if they're snarky, I'll answer it like legitimately. But sometimes you just get these comments that are just like, you can tell they're just trying to be jerks. And I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt when I'm like responding to that stuff. So going through my own comment section has almost become one of my favorite pastimes. I get a lot of love in there though. Like, oh, thank you so much. You helped me with whatever. Which makes you feel good. Alright, we are wrapping up. I'm going to go ahead and run a module showing the AHI when I'm done here. It's going to kind of skip to it because it's not going to be a lot of intro. And, oh, yeah, we're already there. So, hold please. But look at this. You can see the AHI overall, 46.9. The REM AHI, 50.5. RDI, 52.8. Whenever those numbers are close together, it just means there were not a lot of RERAs. The lowest blood oxygen level is 46%. Yowza. There's some other pages I can show where it really breaks down based on sleeping position. Actually, maybe I'll go ahead and try to find those right now, since we're in this deep. So here we go. So REM supine, we have 69 REM non-supine. Like you can see, it's like half. You can really see the drop off. Non-REM supine, actually worse in non-REM than REM. I actually suspect that it's because the apneas were longer in REM, which is what drove it down. They weren't allowed to happen as fast. And then non-supine, non-REM, their AHI is almost 11. You can see that they're just severe all the way around. It doesn't really matter overall. Interesting though is that on the right side, their AHI was much lower, and that's a pretty significant amount of time right there. So does this person have a deviated septum? And laying on the left side's no good, but laying on the right is. I mean, it's always something to look into. You see stuff like that every so often. Alright, that is going to conclude this, the most boring video ever, which is really saying something for my channel, because I have a boring one every so often, and this one certainly beats up on that. So thanks for watching. Go ahead and feel free to be an ass in the comment section, and hey, take care.